So what we've got here is a HP laptop, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through all the different stages that I need to do to get this up and running and operational again. Now, at first glance it looks okay. If we turn it upside down here, it's got hard drive missing, hard drive caddy and hard drive cover, RAM missing, and the RAM cover is also missing. It's got the wireless card in there, and it's got a battery still in there, but we'll see what that's like when we get it up and running, see how well it holds a charge. It's got a CD-ROM in here along with its cover, but the best bit is when you open it up, it's got a smash screen, and it's probably one of the worst I've ever seen. It really is. It's supposed to be a plastic polarizing screen over the top of this, but looks like somebody's taken it off, and we've actually just got sharp pieces of glass. So somebody's really gone to town on that screen. And also, hopefully you can see this, every single screw is missing around the screen itself, and also underneath every single screw is missing. So somebody's really either robbed this for parts or just decided to completely vandalise it. Now the keyboard, that looks intact, so hopefully that'll be working and we won't have to get ourselves another keyboard. But the hinge on here is completely snapped off and broken, so that's going to have to be replaced. So there's a little bit of work to do on this laptop, and I thought we'll go through it in stage by stage, and we'll also keep a running tally of how much it's going to cost to buy all the replacement parts. Now, some of the parts I've already got for this laptop. I don't need to purchase any, like hard drive and RAM. But what I'll do, I'll have a quick look on eBay and find out how much they're going for, and we'll have a running total at the end, how much it cost me to get this laptop up and running again. Remember, I didn't pay anything for this laptop in the first place, so I thought it'd be really interesting to see if it is possible to make money selling laptops. If you're thinking of doing this and refurbishing old laptops and selling them on eBay to make some money, I personally don't think it's worth doing anymore, but we'll see how much this laptop costs to get up and running, and we'll have a look, see how much they're going for on eBay. So the first thing I thought we'd do is actually get rid of this broken screen first, because it's quite dangerous. I don't want to end up cutting myself, so I'll get rid of that screen first, and then we'll look at repairing this hinge, and we'll pop a new screen in. So let's do that first. The screws are still in the side holding the screen on, but all the screws have been removed. I'll unplug the inverter and so you can get that out of the way. There's no screws underneath, so this hinge should just pop straight off. You have to be careful with this one because it does have a ribbon cable connecting all this, so we don't want to pull it out too far until we've disconnected that cable. There's the cable, and I should just be able to, it's not connected anyway, so remember, when you're disconnecting an LCD screen connector like that, always pull it from these tabs, never pull it on the wires itself. You can end up pulling wires out and damaging it. So I'll actually we'll remove the keyboard because we're going to have to get in and give it a bit of a clean anyway. So we've got the screen out, so I'll flip it over and we'll remove the LCD cable. And now we'll remove the hinges. So I've got the new hinges fitted to the new screen. Well, it's not a new screen, it's one I've salvaged out of an old laptop and I've just kept in my workshop. But these hinges, I got these off eBay. Now when I was looking around for hinges for this, I noticed there was a lot of laptops, a lot of these laptops for sale, like spares or repairs kind of sale, because this hinge is actually broken, and I'm just wondering whether it is because of a design fault from HP. You can see where this one has snapped off here. It's at its weakest point where the holes for the rivets go through. But you've got 3 holes here, but they're actually only using that middle hole, so that's severely weakened that. And if I flip it over, you can see you've just got this little metal bar holding on to this, which is really, it's quite a soft metal. It's not very strong at all, and this is a pretty hefty laptop. It's not lightweight by no means, so it probably is a design fault on their part, to be quite honest with you. So now the hinges are in place, it's time to refit the LCD cable. Now this metal on here is probably original. It's to help with RF shielding, because obviously HP thought they need to put this on. It's possibly they're getting some interference on the screen, so it's important you put things like this back. Also, you can see how the cable sits, and it runs down here, and obviously all those get tucked into the hinge, so just to help it so we don't get it kinked up, I'm just going to use a little bit of masking tape. Just to hold that in place. So before we put the screen back in place, I just want to go around and securely fasten down these Wi-Fi antennas. They've got like little ridges on here to hold them in place, so I'm just popping those back in. It's important you do something like this, because if your cable isn't following where it should, and let's say it comes down here a little bit, you create a weak spot with your screen, and just by opening and closing the lid you can end up putting a crack in your screen. So just be careful when you're putting the screen back in, you don't get any cables trapped underneath. Now this screen is held down by some screws that we have to put in before we put the bezel back on. The bezel itself has screws here and here that hold down the screen, but there's 2 screws here and here that we have to put in to hold the screen down before the bezel. Now these screws that I'm using are what I've salvaged off past laptops and I've just saved. But again, if you're doing this to make money, then it's something you have to take into account. The bezel itself has got little plastic clips. Just work your way around, get them all into place. And here, where this hinge has snapped. It's taken a little bit of plastic away from the bezel, so this one I'm not going to over tighten too much. It is holding it down, but that's why it's important to put those other two screws in there. And when I'm doing a laptop repair and I'm putting screws back, I never ever over tighten the screws. I just to where it starts to pinch and then stop. So that's the screen, new hinges, new LCD and screws in it. So one thing you do want to do before you go any further is actually test the screen, especially if you've purchased a used one off eBay. And I've even come across brand new screens as well that are defective. So before you start doing everything else with the laptop and putting all the keyboard back on, everything else, is check the screen. Now, I did know beforehand that the laptop worked when we put some RAM in there, because I booted it to an external monitor. So I've just put a stick of RAM in there for now and apply some power and see if the screen's fine. Yeah. So what I've done with the CPU, I've cleaned it up of the old thermal paste. I've just done that with a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a cloth, and it just comes away easily. I've also cleaned off the residue off the heatsink as well, and what I'm going to do now is apply some new paste. This is Arctic Silver, and all you need is a very small dot, and get yourself something flat like this. This is a little piece of a old plastic card. And try and get it as even as you can. And you don't want too much on, otherwise it'll stop it transferring the heat. So you saw how much I put on, and this is what's on the card. That's how much I've taken away. So I've got a nice layer on the CPU. So now I'll put the heatsink back in place without smudging the thermal paste on top of the CPU. So we'll get it right over the top of the screw holes and just go straight down. Now this is where it's important to screw down the opposites, and I'm not over tightening them yet. So when replacing the keyboard, make sure the ribbon is all the way down in the connector and then snap it closed. So now I'll put this bezel back, and this time we'll connect it up. Snap down. Just really be careful you don't want to get any cables caught underneath these hinge covers. A couple of things I've got to do to finish this off now. I've got to go around and put screws in here, all the screws that were missing. Connect the Wi-Fi card up. I've got another stick of RAM to put in there. I've had to purchase off eBay a new RAM cover and hard disk drive cover. Also hard disk drive caddy and I did have this 320 gig hard drive laying around, so I'll be using that as well. So one thing about these connectors that's worth mentioning is make sure you've got it lined up perfectly before you snap it in place. They are very easy to bend, and they're only rated for about 50 insertions, so they are quite a fragile connector. So what I thought I'd do is price up the parts that we used to get this laptop up and running, and price up all the parts together, even the ones that I had. So I have put a 320 gig hard drive in this laptop because it's what I had lying around, but I think if you're going to sell this laptop you want at least a minimum of 120 gigs. So the cheapest 120 gig hard drive I could find on eBay today was £25.99 with free shipping. A new screen with free shipping was £25.95. So a new set of screws for the laptop. Remember, I had plenty of screws to use with this laptop, but if you don't, then a set of screws is going to cost you £3. The hinges, which I had to buy, cost me £8 with free shipping. The RAM cover, which I had to buy as well with free shipping, £3.95. And the hard disk caddy and cover, £3.50, which gives me a grand total of £78.39. Now, how much do these laptops go for today? Well, I had a look on eBay, and you can pay anywhere from £80 to £150 for a fully working laptop the same as this, and with a similar sort of spec as well. The £80 one only had 1 gig of RAM and an 80 gig hard disk, but if you're wanting to buy something similar as this is spec'd out to now, you'd have to pay £150. So you're not making a lot of profit, and if you had to purchase the laptop as well as spares or repairs, you'd have to factor that money in as well. So you're not actually making a great deal. And to be honest with you, the £150 laptop, it's on a buy it now, and you'd probably have to keep it on eBay for quite a long time before somebody would buy that. I mean, I personally wouldn't pay £150 for this laptop. So before we finish, I thought I'd mention the operating system on this laptop. Now, originally this laptop was shipped with either Windows XP or Windows Vista, and the RAM cover, the hard disk drive cover that I purchased off eBay came with a serial number on it for Windows XP Professional. So to sell this laptop I would need to put Windows XP back on it and register it with that serial number. At the moment I've got Windows 7 on it. I've got it on a 30-day trial just to test that everything is up and running on the laptop. But if you have a look around on eBay, there's a lot of 5-6 year old laptops, and they're running Windows 7, and some of them even now are running Windows 8, and I can guarantee you that for £100 it won't be a genuine copy of Windows 7 or Windows 8. So it's something you have to bear in mind if you're wanting to sell second-hand laptops and make money on them as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and you actually seen me bring a laptop back from the dead, which probably would have ended up in the skip if I hadn't got my hands on it. And if you did, please give it a big thumbs up. If you want to ask me any questions, then please drop a comment below and I'll get back to you. And if you enjoyed this and you want to see more videos like this in the future, then please subscribe by all means, and take care, and I'll catch you next time.
Initiating shutdown sequence.